Okay. I'd love to speak about heart-centered communication. What is heart-centered communication? For me, I learned so many different variety of communication: active listening, non-violent communication, how to communicate in conflict. And what I found in spiritual psychology is heart-centered communication brings me out of my mind and into my heart. And very often when I meet people or I'm in a training on nonviolent communication, there's the formula, but there's no heart in it. It's I'm communicating nonviolently, yet I'm feeling that it's not heart-centered. So what does it mean to be heart-centered? Heart-centered for me is I might have the thought or the response to what you're saying. I would check in with my heart first if it's really necessary for me to say it, and is it really coming from a place of heart or from a place of I want to prove a point. If I have a need that isn't met and I want to express it in a non-violent way, where I'm like, this is how I feel, this is the need that I identify, and I make a request which is not a demand, and accept the no. And when I'm receiving the no, I'm connecting to my heart and checking in with my inner child. How does it feel? So it has nothing actually to do with the person that I'm communicating with or with the person that is saying me no, but with the feeling that I have inside of me of receiving a no and feeling it harsh, or receiving a yes and feeling the excitement. And how do I do with this polarity of feeling and making both of them okay? And for me, that's the key, is having the heart to accept the yes and the no, to accept the polarity, the division, the separation, and bring the division, the separation, the polarity into the oneness of who I am and how I feel. So one excellent exercise actually that I practice, which I learned at the University of Santa Monica in spiritual psychology, is a trio exercise where one person speak, one person listen, and one person observe. And when we are listened to in a place of heart-centeredness, so with no comment, so I'm not talking about active listening of like yes or reframing or all of these amazing tools that we use in conscious communication. I'm talking about just listening, being present, heart-centered when a person is sharing something with you. This something can be very deep, very shallow, doesn't matter what that person is sharing their trip to the supermarket or their emotional breakdown with their mother. My presence is in full attention and in my heart to that person with no comment. And the observer is there just to observe the energy field of both communicator, the receiver and the emitter, and not to comment, but just to hold space. And the key here is holding space in silence, heart-centered, is one of the hardest things that we can practice. Why? Because that's where we want to be when we are listening to ourselves. If I'm able to hold space for myself in my heart when my school is in session, let's say, when I'm upset, when I'm triggered, when something terrible is happening to me, and I'm able to just listen to that part of me that is upset and triggered and hold space, I'm able to transfer this skill to someone else. And so when my husband, my kid, my partner, my friend is upset and coming with a huge amount of drama, I'm able to listen and not interject and increase the drama, which is very often, that's what I observe, is like someone's coming with like something terrible that happened, and you're like, oh yeah, that's true, that happened to me too. Oh, that's terrible. Oh my God, how did she do that? That's awful, da 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 da. So what we're doing actually, we're adding fuel to the fire. Instead, that person come and it's like, that's terrible thing happened, da 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 da. and you're just like not reacting. You're holding space. You're not avoiding. I'm not talking about like dismissing or ignoring that person that is going through that drama, but just staying in your center and listening and holding space for that person to go through the drama and the venting and not interject. When we're able to do that, actually, what we would notice is that once the person have gone through all her drama and didn't receive any fuel to the fire and no advice or opinion or judgment, the drama would most of the time be released into the nothingness to which it belonged. Because what that person needed is just to express it and let it out rather than have an opinion or an advice or a fuel on what to do and how to deal with it. And one practice that we have with my partner is like, if we're triggered, coming and like, I'm triggered, I'm upset, it has nothing to do with you, but I need you to listen to me. I need you to hold space. And my partner or myself can say yes or no. And that's key. I can accept to be holding space for the vantage or for the, I call it the emotional garbage, but I need to be requested first, and I say yes, and I say no. If I have space in me to hold that space, then I say yes, and I receive it, but not take it in me. I hold it and then throw it out or navigate it outside of myself, not take it personally. Or I can say no, and that person, my partner or myself, have to accept the no and go with all this emotional garbage to nature, to the river, to the sea, or to a piece of paper or a pillow, and just like bounce back ideas without anybody at the receiving end of that garbage. And I find that practice is really useful. It's so useful in keeping my relationship with myself and my relationship with my partner or anybody else clean. So that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm able to do that all the time, but that's what I'm aiming for. And so practicing the trio of listener, speaker, and observer, practicing the observer allow me then to integrate it in me and be the observer when someone is into the drama or into a conflict or into a crisis or whatever else is happening. So I move out of the judgment of this shouldn't be, and rather into the acceptance of this is what is, and I don't need to take it in. Voila, I hope this is useful. Find a couple of person with whom you can practice a trio on an issue that is really important for you, and let us know what you think. How did you find it? Thank you.